Okay, Mr. Blackwell, here we are. Firstly, thank you for your patience. We're starting in. So you're the original owner of this watch. You used it when you were a firefighter. You were since retired, and the watch is here. And you sent it here. Obviously, it's not doing anything right now. We are not relooming. I'm just going to clean up the dial and the hands because relooming will really drop the value of the watch. And honestly, I don't relume these flat dials. It wouldn't do anybody any good. Trust me. I know you'd be able to see it at night, but it's one of those things where the cure is worse than the situation we're in now. You did send me an aftermarket insert for the bezel, and I can put that in. My personal recommendation would be to leave this because it's original and it shows the history of the watch, all the things that it went through with you, and I mean, it's original. So I don't know. That's me. Okay, so we've got to open this up, and I want to do a quick test to see how we're all looking. I want to basically get to a ground state of what's going on. So let's figure it out. Okay, case back is off. A little bit of grok in the case back. Believe me, I've seen worse. The seal looks it's pretty flattened out. It's kind of the way things go. That looks all right. Let's go out of here. There's your little handy dandy spacer. There is this anti-magnetic. Okay, so what do we got? Looks clean. It's got some fingerprints on it. Now this, we had a problem with the stem. Ugh. Would you stop swinging around? Problem with the stem. And that comes right out. Okay, so we've got, it looks like we got a stump in there. I believe I have one of these. Well, I know I do. Yeah, that's broken off in there. These are one of the few Seiko stems where we can actually use the alum trick and rust out that stump. So that's the next thing we're going to need to think about here. But I want to get this out. Let's get this movement out of here. Let's look at the front. Let's see what we're dealing with. I'll clean these up. Clean up the metal on the hands. It'll look much better. Clean up the dial, but trust me, you don't want to relume this. You really don't. It won't look that good, and it'll really hit the value of the watch. It's just, leave it as it is, and that's my recommendation. So I'm gonna have to go through that. Let me pull this dial in hands and start to get into the movement. Okay, we got the back of the movement on there. I have your stem apart. There's your crown, which is good. There's your crown, there's your male crown post, that's good. Here's your spring, it's good, if dirty. Here is your crown gasket. These are supposed to look like a tire, like a round black donut, and you'll see this thing is just flat-sided. That's junk. Okay, and so this is your split stem, that's bad. So we're gonna have to replace that. Sorry about all the noise in the background, it is what it is. Let me start pulling this apart. So, always good news. This is why I have always looked for this stuff is whenever I could. So we go into my supplies, and well, we don't need that. That's a complete one. Because everything else you have, gosh darn it, everything else you have is fine. So there it is. Brand new, complete stem setup for an H558 Arnie. Cool. Hey, so all told, this looks pretty good. The last one of these I took apart had a battery leak, and there was acid in all kinds of weird places, but I don't see that here. Looks pretty good. There's your circuit. Yeah, it's nice and bright and clean. That's always great to see because, of course, these are impossible to get. These are your two plates there. And here we can see the train. This little red plastic shield in there. I'm going to pull that off, but you see everything inside looks nice and bright. That's great, especially for a firefighter, and the fact that your crown seal was shot. Hey, that's great news. Okay, let's keep pulling it apart. Okay, so here it is. This is the heart of your movement. Nice thing about this era of Seiko is that, is that they did not fool around in terms of the materials and the stuff that mattered. So this train is all metal with fully metal train bridge setup with jewels. This thing is an extremely reliable piece versus later chronographs and other things that Seiko put out, quartz movements. They're almost entirely plastic, if not completely plastic, with no jeweling at all. So this is pretty serious. Whoop, darn it, pretty serious overkill. Cool stuff. Okay, moving forward. Okay, I have the train bridge apart and everything's in the parts ready to go. Here's your original bezel, rotating ring with the original insert. I'm going to clean this up as is. Again, I can put in this other one if you want to. I don't know. It just would. I'll get together with you and tell me. You can tell me what you want to do. My recommendation is to leave your original, because it's worn, but it earned that wear. But it's not my watch, so whatever you decide is fine, of course. I managed to get your shroud off intact. That's a huge win, because the material on these at this age it'll just start to shatter like glass or bitumen. It just comes apart. These Arnie cases are nice because they're built like any other 150-meter dive watch that Seiko made at this time, complete with a crystal retaining ring. That makes it nice too, because it helps us protect the. There we go. There's this, and that is super important. So there is your chapter ring. All this, and there is your crystal gasket, and there's your original crystal. You'll get all this stuff back. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and inspect the case and clean it and pull those buttons. This is a late one, 87, so it's going to be a 2-button setup. It ought to be. Threads look good. There's no pitting on the sealing surfaces. It's dirty, but look at how shiny it is inside. Okay, so let me get on. Yep, there they are out. They are in fact the 2-seal variant. You can see them, they're stacked up. The earlier ones only had one, and that proved to be insufficient for long-term use. You can see those there. There's the spring and those original gaskets and some grot. So I'm going to go through and hand clean all of this stuff, and then all of this stuff is going to go through the ultrasonic, and we'll get it nice and shiny. Okay, we are slowly going back together. These H558 X's have a pretty unique component, this little lyre-shaped diddly. This is the thing that when you turn the crown one way or the other, it contacts different parts of the circuit and to make it the changes in date and things like that. This one, you'll notice, is nice and flat, nice and even to the plane. This is yours, and it is all kind of warped and janky. So it's not really. In the past, I've worked to straighten these out, and I've had mixed results. Honestly, it's a better choice just to redo them. So I'm going to replace that part for you. Okay, so all back together. All the functions are working. Everything is doing what it's supposed to do. Now I'm not as lucky as the last time I did one of these, where I somehow managed to drop it exactly where it needed to be. So we are gaining significant time. That's almost 2 seconds a day we are gaining. So let's see what we got going on here. Come on. Wait. Just hang on. Okay, I'm just doing now these don't have a super variable trimmer like a 7548. You only have a relatively limited range, and it gives you a percentage of a second change per day. So let's, I want to look right at this. So we're at 103. Let me drop this back down. Let's see how we're doing. Come on, give me a number. Let's drop it down some more and try to get it tight. Okay, getting it down. A few more little adjustments here, hopefully, and we can drop it right into spec. Well, that ain't right. Okay, I want to test something real quick. Okay, so I've been fiddling with this for a good amount of time. These have a scale, unlike a 7548, they don't go round and round. Like, you don't have infinite variability. You can go from, it's like you can go from boop to boop, all the way positive, all the way negative. I have this thing slammed all the way negative. That's the lowest it'll go. So that's half a second gain a day. That is absolutely the lowest I go. If I go any further, then it flips around to going like this, and all of a sudden we're gaining 2 seconds a day. So this is the tightest that I can get it right now. It's at the end of the day. I am going to leave this. I'm gonna cap this thing, and I'm gonna let it run overnight, and we'll come back to it. Everything else is functional. All the lights work, the alarm works, all the functions do all the things they're supposed to do. The movement is fully serviced. I'm going to get this down as tight as I can, which I think this is, and then we will go from there. Again, these are not fully variable. They give us a little bit of ability to do some changes, but not a ton. So I'm going to leave this overnight, and we'll see how it does, and we'll revisit tomorrow morning. Okay, bye-bye. Okay, it is the following morning. Here we are. Looks like it's settled down a little bit. This is going to be the tightest that I'm going to get it. So 4/10 of a second gaining per day. I mean, barring replacing the circuit, which would be like killing a fly with a flamethrower, that's as tight as we're going to get it. But 1/3 of a second a day, that's pretty good. Can't complain about that. Just sitting here looking at it. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and assemble, build the case and all that other kind of stuff this morning, and then put it back together completely, do a full assembly, and then I'll put it back on this and we'll see how the numbers are and go from there. Okay. Okay, so here are all the case elements, all nice and super duper clean. I mean, they still show some wear, but obviously, but cleaning them isn't going to make that go away. Let's see. Case all nice and shiny. No corrosion of any kind, no pitting. Same with the crystal retaining ring. No pitting, looks good. I did pull this insert, and I was reminded of something that I forgot. The inserts on these Arnies, they're angled in like this because the profile is actually wedge shaped. They're flat on the bottom and down, so they're like thick out here and thin in here. They're made to be this way. This insert that you've got here is like a standard type one where it's just flat. Again, I can put this in if you want to, and don't let me sway you if that's what you want to do, but again, I would strongly recommend leaving the original. I mean, even though it's worn, because it's original. It's original. And it's just the other one it'll just look funky, but I will do whatever you want me to do. Okay, it is time for me to let's put some seals into this thing. I've got the buttons are cleaned out and ready to go. I already put the springs back on. You can see the buttons are kind of hazy, and that's because there was all that impacted grot inside. And so it's a little bit of surface corrosion, like almost like etching, but it doesn't affect their functionality at all. And the sealing faces are fine. So let's get on it. Okay, and there we are. I did go back into the movement. I wanted to see about if I could improve the trimmer at all. In fact, I went so far as to actually remove and replace the trimmer with a new one, but it didn't give me any difference. And I think I'm just being too picky. Half a second per day is excellent, so I'm not really going to complain. Your action is nice and clicky. This is your original insert, obviously. Now I can, again, I'm happy to put this other insert in. It won't take me long if you want me to do it. It's just, you know, if you want me to do that, just let me know, and I'm happy to do it. Not a big deal. All your stuff is in here. The parts that were replaced, your seals, crystals, gasket, old battery, all that stuff are in there. Everything works as it should. There we go. That's the date. And that's the current time. The alarm I have not fiddled with. I mean, it works, but I haven't set it. Local time, this is here in Colorado. But then there's your alarm that I just tested. And there's your light bulb. It's all good. Your new stem is in place, and it all works the way that it should. All new seals, double buttons on both sides, nice and tight and clean. New crystal, clicky bezel. I did clean your shroud, obviously. It's a little warped, but I mean, it's original. There's nothing I can do about it. I don't want to try to lean on this thing because these, like I said, are prone to shattering without warning. There are very good aftermarkets on eBay, and they're quite good. And so that's something you might consider getting, especially if yours starts to break. But everything's just as clean can be, and it's ready to go. Okay, that's about it. Okay, thank you much.